That cheer was almost as loud as Button got. You're still a legend, aren't you?
I'm not sure I ever was a legend, but I'm still around. That's the main thing, and we're still talking about Formula One with some passion, and very much looking forward to 2010.
What we're going to do is have 5 minutes or so with Martin and Alex, and then a chance for you to put some questions to either of them. Simon will be there eventually with a mic, so think of something juicy, because it's not like Martin Brundle to hold back. 2009, a funny season, but wonderful for Jensen, and I think what a divine retribution it's been for him, having kept his head up for years and years and years, and bang, he's got the job done.
I mean, it was a pleasure to see it all unfolding, and I mean, I don't want to be biased when I'm commentating, and I try not to be, but I really wanted him to win that championship, and I was pleased, had a tear in my eye when he crossed the line, because I think he's put his life and soul into everything. He's proven that he's a world-class driver, but his reputation and his results didn't reflect that, and finally had the chance, and he seized it. He wobbled a bit, didn't he, just to keep us on our toes. But he got the job done. It's good for him, good for British motorsport, good for Formula One. It was another great season.
He was booked to appear on here before he won the championship, and I was dreading it. I was dreading him letting it slip away at the last minute.
Oh, yeah, what would you say to him? I mean...
Never mind, eh?
You'd just have to have, you know, box of handkerchiefs there for him or something.
Alex, as a young driver making your way through the ranks, what sort of inspiration do you take from young guys who've made it to the top and got the job done?
Well, it's just fantastic to see that it's achievable from my point of view. I mean, if you take next year, 2010, 2 British drivers in a British car at the top level of Formula One is an absolutely huge thing and a massive inspiration to young drivers. We're
spoiled, aren't we, to have 2 back-to-back world champions, first time in 40 years. It's great for the sport on all levels.
I think we've always been spoiled as British motorsport fans. I mean, British motorsport's always been kind of at the mecca, the forefront, and I think long may it continue.
You're undecided on what you're doing. Give us an idea of the sort of things you're looking at.
I'm looking around. I'm definitely going to be in international motorsport next year somewhere. To be honest, as long as I've got a steering wheel in front of me, I'll be happy. At the moment, we're just talking to sponsors and seeing what they kind of would air towards, looking mainly towards kind of Formula 2 or maybe a Formula 3 programme.
Good attitude. Where's he got that from?
Well, he speaks better than I do with a microphone. I think all young drivers these days, they have to be good, don't they, in front of the cameras, and it's a necessary part. I mean, Kimi Räikkönen didn't think that, obviously, because he didn't want to talk to anybody, but generally speaking, if you want somebody to sponsor you for £500,000 to do all of these championships that are available, then you've got to be offering them something in return, and that involves media work. But it's tough for the young drivers now. It's tough, I think, making your way through them. The money you need to get to Formula One from karting is probably now £4 million or something of somebody's money to get to the top level. And where on earth are you going to find that these days? And you know, I've just seen James Thompson over in the hotel reception. At the moment, doesn't really have a proper drive, does he, for this year? He's messing around. I mean, I was amazed to read from when Jason Plato was on this stage yesterday, I think it was, that he hasn't got a program together. You know, 2 of the finest British touring car drivers we've ever had.
The champion?
Yeah.
The champion is looking for a budget to stay in the series. Colin Turkington. Madness.
Is that right? That's just shocking. And I always thought that 2010 would actually be harder than 2009 to get budgets together, because so many people had sponsorship in place, had some momentum, and now the reality's really hit.
Alex, there are so many avenues you could go down, dozens of championships. Where do you start?
Well, I think basically you've just got to, firstly, it's the numbers have to add up is the main thing. I mean, sadly, that's the case. Secondarily, you kind of try and think about yourself as a driver and what kind of environment you'd like to, you think you could perform the best in. At the moment, I'm looking for a team environment. I think is probably the way forward for me. And then you look at the cars, you test the cars, and you try and find something that's going to let you achieve your potential. At the end of the day, you have to believe as a young driver that you have the potential to make it to Formula One, and you've got to find somewhere that shows that.
Yeah, but on the rung up to Formula One, power for pound, there are a lot of championships that are very similar, and if you go the wrong way, you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's a gamble. I mean, the right decision is almost as important as driving the car well. There's, make no qualms about that. But, you've got to go with, where your heart tells you to go and make the best of the decisions that you've made.
In the early 80s, you didn't have that problem, did you? There were only about 3 championships. You did karting, you did Formula Ford, you did Formula 3, Formula 2, Formula 1. It was very clear-cut.
Yeah, I think the path was more easily recognisable, and that's why the Brazilians all came to do British F3, for example. It was a must-do championship, and our main worry was, should we have a Rolt or a Reynard, should we have the Volkswagen or the Toyota engine in Formula 3? But I've got to say, if you're truly special, and only maybe 1 in 1,000 will get through, but if you're really special and you're going to be a long-term Formula 1 driver, you'll find your way through the system somehow. But it is easy to spin off in terms of your career path. You blow your 600 or 700 grand you've managed to get together, which is scary numbers now. And I mean, I did Formula 3 with Eddie Jordan for £82,000, but that was back in 1983. I suspect the numbers are probably similar, but you get your money together and then you go and choose the wrong team or the wrong engine, and you've blown it and you're off course. It's tough, but that's the way it is in sport, isn't it? I don't think it's just a motorsport thing.
Okay, let's talk about Formula 1 2010. We've got an extraordinary situation where we've got lots and lots of top names spread among the top teams. It's going to be amazing, isn't it?
I'm not sure. There were years when I was actually driving, I wasn't looking forward to the season as much as I am now. 4 world champions on the grid, all who can win a race, can win the championship. We've got Hamilton versus Schumacher, which we thought we were going to be denied forever. We've got Michael Schumacher against Ferrari, when we thought he was a lifer at Ferrari. And all the younger guys just can't wait to show that they're better than Michael Schumacher. And so many fights. We've got McLaren versus Mercedes-Benz. It's going to be a year of intense rivalries, I think, and people making a point. New teams on the grid as well. So we could have a full 26-car grid for the first few races at least. And I think we're just not going to know which way to look next for stories in 2010 in Formula 1.
You mentioned the startup teams. There's been a lot of negative press recently about whether they're going to be there or not. What do you make of them?
Well, one thing I've learned in this world, and especially Formula 1, is never underestimate anybody. So I wouldn't want to do them down. I admire them for attempting to put a team together. I think we're going to have to politely look the other way from in the early part of the season while the teams get their act together. And, unfortunately, the first 4 races are long-haul flyaways. So I think even if they get to Bahrain, I'm not sure how many of them are going to make it to Barcelona, if I'm honest, the first European race. And the cash burn they all need must be £1 million a week plus. And it's going to be incredibly hard if they have fundamental reliability issues or crashes, or worse still, they crash into each other going down into the first corner. They've got the parts, they've got the repairs, they've got developing of the car. They've just got to get 20 tons of freight around the world for the first 6 or 7 weeks. And it's going to be hard for them, and I hope they make it through. And, you can't knock them. And if I'm really honest, from a TV point of view and a Formula 1 fan's point of view, the human story of Lotus and Virgin and Campos, these teams coming into Formula 1, is much more interesting than an underperforming Toyota or BMW.
Do you prefer it that way around? Would you rather have the underdogs doing well or against these big conglomerates who just come and go willy-nilly? The right direction.
Everybody loves a David and Goliath story, don't they? As long as David's got half a chance. If you look at the paddock and you see the razzmatazz that the manufacturers have brought along, I think they have increased the profile of Formula 1 with their own marketing of their products. And, if you see Mercedes-Benz versus Toyota versus BMW and Ferrari and so on, that's kind of must watch. You need that element as well. But I think we have to keep a balance so that the privateers, the entrepreneurs, as it were, can come in. It's quite interesting to see, isn't it? The cigarette companies got displaced by the financial services banks and that sort of thing. And then, but underpinning that were the manufacturers' budgets. And, of course, all of that's gone away. A lot of that's fallen away. And now we're seeing the entrepreneurs coming in. So good for them. Let's see what they can achieve.